Hey everyone, welcome to the video. This one we are breaking down the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. It is finally here. It feels like we've been waiting forever. Yes, we got teased with a couple of warm-up races in the Busch Clash, which was actually pretty awesome. And then we had the two dual races last night, which set the qualifying order, but nothing really compares to the big Daytona 500. It's the marquee race of the season. There's going to be wrecks everywhere. It's going to be awesome to watch, and it's going to be fun for DFS purposes. This is my favorite track for DFS. I feel like we have the strategy down for it, and it works pretty much every single time. I do think there's a big edge on restrictor plate racing, so I am looking forward to it. But before we continue, as always, if you guys could just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out, and it's really appreciated. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I would really recommend it. Yes, just to get more followers. But I do retweet a lot of NASCAR information, and a lot of you probably are not totally sure where to find good NASCAR information. Well, I do, so I will retweet pretty much every single thing I find that seems of interest to you guys and of interest to me, and also tweet my own stuff out as well. And if you want to support me on Patreon, that's really appreciated. We've actually had quite a few people sign up for the NASCAR package already, so if you were waiting until the Daytona 500 to do so, I'd really recommend it. It's in the link in the description below. If you hit that link, it'll take you to this page. So if you hit that link, it's going to take you to my Patreon page where you can select to sign up with my NASCAR package. It's $10 a month, which if you break it down, it's $2.50 a race. I don't think I'm killing you guys here, but I do put a lot of extra work into this, and it is much appreciated for all of you who do sign up. If you do get access to this, you unlock my entire NASCAR model, which I preview for you guys. I don't show you everything, but I do show you a preview of my NASCAR model. You get my cheat sheet, my data sheet, which is all color-coded, so you know what's good, what's bad. You're not left guessing if this is good or bad. You'll know. You get access to my Discord chat, which we got about 60 people in there right now. Everyone will, no one's mean in there. Everyone will help you out. Jokes. It's a nice environment there. You don't have to worry about anything being hostile. And I'll help you guys out. I'll send any extra information in there as well. It's the easiest place to reach me. I'll reply at any point of the day pretty much unless I'm sleeping. And you get access to my projections. I build projections for every single driver, my core plays, and my weekly article. I put a lot of stuff in my article, go over strategy, roster construction, my favorite plays, all that good stuff. My article is almost done for the Daytona 500, so I'll be posting that pretty shortly after I upload this video. But yeah, you get access to all of my extra stuff. I put a lot of extra work into this, so if you do want to sign up for the NASCAR package, links in the description below. And without further ado, let's get into the driver by driver breakdown and race preview. So before we get into the driver by driver breakdown, this is the race preview. If you guys are new to NASCAR DFS, it is very strategy driven. So you have to make sure you have the right strategy entering each track, and each track plays different. So you have to have a different approach every single week. And the reason I love Daytona is because this is the most strategy-driven racetrack. So you're going to have to listen up when we get to the strategy portion. But as of right now, let's just talk about the track, or in the name. This is Daytona 500, and that's the outline of the track. Simple as that. But this is Daytona International Speedway. It's a restrictor plate type track. Now, they don't use restrictor plates anymore. I know that, but that's just what I've always called it. I'm not changing it, so you guys should know what I mean anyway. When I say restrictor plate tracks, it means Daytona or Talladega. It's 2.5 miles in length, one of the longest largest and longest tracks in the circuit, and we only have 200 laps here, which means there's only 150 Dominator points available, which means Dominator points are really not that important to us, especially at a track like Daytona where no one typically dominates the entire race. So for some strategy purposes, I got a lot to talk about, so you're just going to have to listen to me talk, so make sure you guys listen up. So strategy point number one, I have a list of bullet points here. I might read off a little bit just because I don't want to miss anything, but rule number one is you stack the back at Daytona. There's just no getting around that. Daytona is just a bloodbath when it comes to wrecks and carnage. And by stacking the back, we do ensure ourselves the safest floor possible because of these back marker cars that I typically like to play. They're just going to drive around and wait for the wrecks to happen, and when that happens, they move on right up. So, just for an example, say we're playing like guys like Corey LaJoie, Brennan Gaughan, and I don't even know who else is back there, Joey Gase, whatever. So all these guys up front. Yeah, they're going to be up front for a while, but when the big one happens, which it will happen, it happens every single time, when they all crash, they're all finishing last, and that means they're going to go negative points. When all of our back markers, who are really cheap, and yes, they do suck, but they don't have to be good here at Daytona. You don't have to have a good car to win. I mean, we saw Haley win the summer race for Daytona, but so all of our back marker cars, they move on up, and they are solidified as solid place differential plays, because even if they do crash after the big one, they're still finishing ahead of all of those expensive guys that started in the front, and they're going to outscore them. So that's why I love stacking the back here. It works pretty much every single time, and there is just never not going to be the big one. There's going to be cars that crash. That's just how Daytona works. So you have to stack the back here. I know it feels gross putting all these guys like Corey LaJoie, Sorensen, and those in your lineups, but that's what you have to do here at Daytona. Another important thing is do not be afraid to leave salary on the table. And when I say stack the back, I mean stack the back. I don't care what their name is or what kind of car they're in. I am comfortable with leaving over 10K salary remaining in my lineups. And I've even left some lineups with over 20,000 remaining in my lineup. Do not try to max out your salary remaining, because if you do that, you're probably making a really bad lineup. You're probably playing guys like Joey, I almost said Joey Harvick, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, which Kyle Busch is a good play, but do not try to do that. It's just not the way you play NASCAR DFS at Daytona. You want to stack the back. You're going to have salary remaining on the table. It feels gross. Yes, trust me. When I first started playing NASCAR DFS, yes, it was absolutely terrifying leaving that much salary on the table, but that's just what you do, and it works every single time, most often than not. So yes, you want to leave a bunch of salary on the table. Do not try to max out your lineups. Now, I will say there's a couple of expensive drivers in the back that are pretty good plays. So maybe we're not going to have scenarios where we're like 20K left on the salary remaining. But if you want to just avoid those guys and play all these back markers, yeah, you could make a lineup that's within like 20 to 30,000 salary remaining, and I totally think that's fine. That is definitely a good way to go. And another thing, dominator points. Don't care. I mean, I said dominator points would probably be a little bit important in the duel, but this race is going to be wild. There's going to be lead changes pretty much every single lap. You do not want to try to nail a dominator here, because more than likely, no one's going to lead the entire, or at least a good portion of this race and win. It doesn't happen. So don't worry about dominator points. Just try to lock up those place differential points. And then the last thing I want to say is that practice doesn't matter. I have some practice times listed on this sheet. Don't care. They drive in packs. Don't care about practice. We care about practice on those cookie cutter tracks and the short tracks like Bristol, all the 1.5 mile tracks, whatever. Yeah, practice matters there. Daytona, Talladega, don't care. So basically what I said, stack the back, don't worry about salary, dominator points don't matter, and practice doesn't matter. So I think I explained that pretty well. And like I said, we stack the back because all those guys up front that crash, they move right on up. Simple as that. So let me get into the driver by driver breakdown. All right, so driver by driver breakdown time. We're pretty much just going to go down the list here. We're going to hit all 40 drivers briefly. I'm not going to go too in-depth on anything, but, well, might for a little bit. But might be a little bit longer of a video because we got 40 guys to talk about. But do want to talk about every single one, hit on them, so let's get into it. So we got Joey Logano, 10,500. I loved him in Duel 1 on Thursday. I said he's probably going to win the race, at least my bet. I mean, I didn't know, but it was my best guess that Joey Logano would, lead laps, get up front, and win the race. That is what happened. Ricky Stenhouse did give me a little bit of a scare because I told you guys all to fade him. It was looking like that was not the right call for a bit, but he ended up finishing 9th. Anyway, that doesn't matter. This is Daytona. But yeah, Joey Logano, he is an elite driver at Daytona and Talladega. The guy absolutely crushes these tracks. As you can see, 85 average driver rating, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. He's averaging 7.8 laps led, which is not that bad. And if you look at track type form, the last 10 races, average running position of 12.1, average driver rating of 97.6, which is best out of all drivers. Does have a win, 6 top 5s the past 10 races at restrictor plate tracks, averaging the most laps led. Yes, the guy is awesome at restrictor plate tracks, but here's the problem. He usually qualifies pretty darn good, and I don't care how good your car is, I don't care what your name is at Daytona. If you're starting up front, I can't play you. I just can't do it. I'm going to let all the fish play him. Like last year, I forget exactly who was on the poll. It might have been Joey Logano at one of the Daytona races. He was starting up front. He's either like first or second or third, whatever it was. He was 25 or 30% owned. Like that just paid the rake because that's a bad play. I mean, I know, yes, Joey Logano is an elite driver, one of the best drivers, one of my favorite drivers. I love Team Penske. But if you're starting third, I don't care who you are. You're probably not a good play at Daytona because if you look at his average place differential, which is right above my head, go all the way up, average PD. His average place differential at Daytona is negative 11.7. That's bad. So that means on average, he's losing. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, to fix my nose really quick. But that means on average, he's losing 11.7 points per race at Daytona just on place differential points alone. And I mean, if you're starting third, he's got to win the race and he's got to lead laps. I'm not willing to bank on that. There are so many better plays. I'd rather play Brendan Gaughan over Joey Logano any single day of the week here. So Joey Logano, he's going to be a fade for me. Yes, I know he's an amazing driver at Daytona. I can't do it, Joey. It sucks. I wish he was starting further back. But the cool thing is that means he's probably going to be high owned just because he's got good name value. And I love that. I love when big name drivers are sitting up front of Daytona because that means we're going to have our edge. Because there's people going to play Joey Logano. A lot of casual players will play a DFS for, just because Daytona 500, they're going to be bored. They're going to throw in some lineups. They're going to play guys like Joey Logano. They're going to play guys like Brad Keselowski. They're going to play Bowman, Stenhouse, starting up front, and they're all terrible plays. So that's good for us. So Joey Logano, he's a clean fade for me. Will not play him. I'm going to be building 150 lineups this weekend. So maybe my projections give me one lineup, but he will not be in majority of my lineups at all. I probably don't even want to put him in one. So just so you guys know that, I will be having 150 lineups. So if he happens to be in the winning lineup and if I happen to have him, that's why. But trust me, I do not want him in any of my lineups. Right below him, we have Denny Hamlin. He qualified 21st. And yes, I'll have to have some interest in Denny Hamlin. Do I wish he was starting a little bit further back? Yes. But I still think that's fine. Because we know how good he is at Daytona. We saw on, the Clash? The guy started in the back, got all the way up front, was leading some laps, then I believe his tire got loose, and he ended up crashing into, was it Joey Logano, if I remember correctly? But he took that car, it was covered in cardboard and duct tape, and he actually finished the race 6th and actually pushed Eric Jones to the win. So, the guy's a very good plate driver. He actually won the Daytona 500 last year. I don't know if you guys remember that. But, yeah, Denny Hamlin, you got to have some interest here starting 21st. Now, again, I wish he was starting a little bit further back. But he's got race-winning upside. So, I have to have some interest here in Denny. If you look at his numbers, he's got an average running position of 17.4, which is above where he's starting, which I like that. He does have a win here, like I said, in the last race. 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s. He's a good driver. Now, he's averaging negative 8.7 place differential points, but the thing is, he usually starts much higher up than he is right now. So, starting 21st, you got to have some interest in Denny Hamlin. I think he's a very, very strong play. Brad Keselowski starting 9th. So, he's to a point where you could throw him in a couple lineups because he could certainly win this race, and he also offers us a little bit of place differential points, but I wouldn't go more than like 5 to 10% on Brad Keselowski if you really want to play him. Like, I'm trying to think in my mind, I'm building 150 lineups. I obviously don't know what my exposures are going to be, but I would not want to probably be over 5%, to be honest, on Brad Keselowski, because he's going to have to win this race, maybe 5 to 10%, because he could win the race. He could finish in the top 3, and that might be able to get the job done if you hit on the place differential points, because you do want guys that can finish high as well. But, he's fine. He's a really good plate racer. All these Team Penske cars are, very good here. Now, the problem is he's been having some bad luck at Daytona. If we look at his last 6 races here, he's averaging 1.5 Draftkings points per race. That's rough. And an average finish of 29.5. The guy is not avoiding wrecks. Like, he's just always getting wrecked into. Not always his fault, but it's been a trend here. And if you look at his recent numbers, past 6 races, he does not have a top 5. He does not have a top 10. He has 1 top 15, 1 top 20. That's pretty rough. That's pretty darn rough. His average running position is also 18.6. He's a good driver at Daytona. I liked him a lot in the duels. He performed pretty well. But the problem is he's averaging negative 15.8 place differential spots. So, he's just having a tough time with Daytona recently. The guy's a good driver. You could get away with maybe 5% hoping he wins the race. But personally, it's a very risky play. So, Brad Keselowski, not really on my radar outside of maybe a couple of lineups if you're mass multi-entering. Chase Elliott, this is probably one of the best plays on the slate, and he's certainly going to be one of the most popular plays on the slate because Chase Elliott, he's a big name. He's a fan favorite, probably the most popular driver in NASCAR right now. That could be debatable, but definitely has a ton of fans. And he's starting 25th, so yes, he's an awesome play, and he's also very good at Daytona. Now, he's another guy that's not been great at avoiding the wrecks in the past 6 races, averaging 2.5 DraftKings points per race. Now, if I could tell you guys who exactly is going to wreck or not wreck, we'd be all living in our own islands because we'd be filthy rich. We can set ourselves up for success here at Daytona, but I can't tell you exactly who's going to wreck or not. I wish I could, but by playing these guys in the back, it helps ensure a safer floor, and Chase Elliott starting in the back. Yeah, we got to have some interest here now because he does not usually start in the back, so that's why he's been so bad, because when he qualifies up front and wrecks, you're getting like negative 20 points. When you're starting 25th, that can't happen. So certainly got to like Chase Elliott. He's got race winning upside. Average running position of 15.1. Average driver rating of 80.4. Also all very good. Averaging 8.2 laps led per race. 4.2 fast laps. But like I said, the guy keeps wrecking. Negative 20.3 average place differential. That is the worst out of all drivers. So just getting a little bit unlucky on the wrecks. If he can avoid the wrecks here starting 25th, he will be one of the best plays on the slate. So certainly like Chase Elliott. Now there is merit to fading these high high-priced, big-name drivers that are starting in the back because that will carry a lot of ownership. And some of these guys with lower names and junkier cars, they can easily outscore these guys, and they're going to be much lower owned. So there is merit to fading and going underweight on the field here because anything can happen at Daytona. So just keep that in mind. Chase Elliott starting 25th is not an absolute lock. Do not press the lock button on him. Things can happen at Daytona. So want to be careful there. Don't want you guys to go all in on these big name drivers just because they can automatically finish top 10. That's not the case at Daytona. Anything can happen, as you're going to see when you're watching the race. So. Or just go on YouTube and watch any other Daytona 500 race. I mean, anything can happen. It gets crazy. So, but Chase Elliott in a vacuum, yes, he's a very, very strong play. One of the best drivers. And 25th at Daytona, yeah. Should be a pretty good play if he avoids the wrecks. Kyle Busch, he was one of the best plays in last year's Daytona 500. I believe he started 35th, if I remember correctly. And he finished 3rd. I know Joe Gibbs finished 1, 2, 3. It was Denny Hamlin, either Kyle Busch and Eric Jones. Eric Jones or Kyle Busch. I forget which one finished 2nd or 3rd. But, yeah, I mean, Kyle Busch absolutely crushed last year because, like I said, he started in the back. Ended up doing very, very well. Was one of the highest-owned drivers, if not the highest-owned driver. I know Brett Keselowski finished in the back as well, and he did very well, too. But, yeah, Kyle Busch starting 28th. You got to have interest. Yes, he's going to be extremely high-owned because Kyle Busch, again, he's got a huge name. Everyone knows the M&M car, and, he's last year's champion. So, yes, Kyle Busch is going to be a good play. He's also going to be high-owned. So, like I said, there is merit to fading these high-name drivers because anything can happen, but I'll personally have a good chunk of Kyle Busch. I'm not exactly sure what I'll have right now, but, I mean, it might get close to 50%, if not more. I'm not sure how risky I'm going to be feeling, but as of right now, obviously I don't have anything set in stone. I'm just kind of talking my way through this right now. But, yeah, I mean, he's fine. Now, he's not the greatest plate racer in the world. Only average driver rating of 73.3, average running position of 19.5, which is not that great. Average finish of 22. But, he's fine. He does have a top 5, which was last year, 2 top 15s. He's solid play. I mean, he actually hasn't been too bad in the place differential department, negative 5.8, but that obviously helped from last year as he moved through the entire field. But yes, Kyle Busch starting 28th, certainly a good play. Kevin Harvick, he has been literally the worst driver to play on DraftKings the past 6 races, just on average at Daytona. If we head over to his numbers, averaging negative 0.3 DraftKings points per race. That's because he qualifies high and he wrecks. Like every single time. It's just what happens. If we just continue looking down this line here, let me just pull it up. So, 0 wins, 0 top 5, 0 top 10s, 0 top 15s, 1 top 20. Poor guy just can't catch a break, averaging the worst negative place differential at negative 22 spots per race. Yeah, he's having a rough go, but when he's on the track, he's actually driving well, because as you can see, 14.5 average running position, which is, I believe, is 3rd best or 4th best, and an average driver rating of 89.4, which is also very good. So when he's not crashing, he's driving well. And I actually liked him a lot in Duel 2. Duel 2, and he actually led a good chunk of that race, had a car to win the race, didn't win at the end, but still was a very, very good play. I believe he was in the winning lineup. But Kevin Harvick, starting 10th, going to have to pass on you, buddy. I'll be playing you a lot throughout the year, but this is probably not going to be where I'm going to play you. Now, again, guys, I'm building 150 lineups, so I might have him in a couple lineups, but not the core play by any means to me. Martin Truex Jr., he's kind of in the same boat as Kevin Harvick, where he's just not a great plate race driver. He qualified 15th. He's got some room for, place differential points, but not a big guy on playing him in Daytona. Now, he had a good race rate at top 5, but hasn't been great. But average driver rating of 70.3, which is the worst of all the drivers we've talked about so far, and it's actually going to be the worst for a while until we hit Brendan Gaughan, but yeah, Truex, he's got a big name, so he's certainly going to carry some ownership. He's averaging 24.8 DraftKings points per race here. Average running position of 18.6. Average finish of 20.7. Another guy, like I said, he gets caught up on the wrecks. He's okay. I'm not going to have too much exposure to Martin Truex Jr. because there's not much upside. He really hasn't been that great, and he just tends to always get in wrecks here. I don't know what it is. The guy's just a magnet for it. So not a guy I'm going to be too heavy on. Not a guy I'm going to completely full fade, but starting 15th, there's not much upside, but he can certainly finish in the top 10. Ryan Blaney, he's going to be one of my favorite plays on the slate, and if you guys have been watching my videos, you know he's one of my favorite drivers. Actually, he is my favorite driver. So I might be a little bit biased, and I do have a Team Penske bias. I love just playing these guys, especially at super speedways. But if you're going to be starting 27th, yeah, I got to have interest. He's one of the best drivers at Daytona. Now, I will say he is going to a backup car in Duel 1. There was a little miscommunication that he didn't know his team was pitting, and then he accidentally clipped into Daniel Suarez and ruined his night. And so Ryan Blaney didn't really have the greatest race, so he did qualify pretty low. But the guy's been elite at Daytona. He does have the best average driver rating of all drivers, 93.3. And he's just been really good here. 13.1 average running position, which is second best only behind Alex Bowman, I believe. Yeah. And, yeah. Now, he's only averaging 18.2 DraftKings points per race here, average finish of 23.7. But again, Rex can skew these things, and if you're starting 27th, he should be able to move up. And he's got a race-winning car. I mean, you know, he's got good teammates, too. It never hurts when your teammates are Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. If they team up, they can certainly get up front and, you know, hopefully stay there and avoid the wrecks. That's really the name of the game for Daytona, just avoid the wrecks. But starting 27th, you're offering yourself a high floor and a high ceiling. And he's got 2 top 10s, 1 top 5. I mean, he's just been very good, averaging the most laps led per race here at Daytona, actually, as well, 11.9. So, Ryan Blaney, he's one of my favorite plays in the slate, starting 27th. Certainly got some interest there. Kurt Busch starting 18th. Now, he's fine. He did win that one Daytona race. I forget exactly what year that was. But starting 18th, he's got some room for potential, and he's not too bad at restrictor plates. 76.4 average driver rating. Average finish of 21.2 is not great, but as you can see, my stack the back strategy. Sorry to pause it really quick, but as you can see, the stack the back strategy is not just me talking. The numbers back it up. So just take a break from the driver by driver breakdown. Look at the average DraftKings points per race column. As you can see, all the guys up top, you're seeing orange and red. You scroll down, you're seeing, you know, shades of yellow and brighter greens. I mean, the numbers back this up. If you start in the back, you're more than likely going to outscore all these guys up front. I mean, look, the numbers suggest it. It means as easy as it looks. Look, up front, reds. Down here, all these scrubs, greens. And it's as simple as that. They score more points on average, so that's why we want to stack the back. But just want to get that point across. But and as you can see, the average finishes also much higher. That's just because they're racing really competitive up front, and they're going to make one bad move, and it takes out the whole field. All these sucky guys, they move up. It's as simple as that. But anyway, we're talking about Kurt Busch. I believe he did have that one win. Not really a guy of too much interest. Starting 18th. I mean, yeah, he could top 10. He could also win the race. But, I mean, I'm building 150 lineups. Yeah, I'll have some Kurt Busch, but not too much. He's okay, though. Alex Bowman. Certainly like Kurt Busch over Alex Bowman. I think Alex Bowman's one of the worst plays. Yes, has he even go to Daytona? For sure. As you can see, he's the best average running position of 10. Average drive rating of 91.8. But he qualified second. Count me out. I mean, his average finish is 14.8. He has to lead laps here, and he also has to win the race for him to be a good play, and I just can't bank on that. I will more than likely have exactly zero exposure to Alex Bowman. I think he's a terrible play. Nothing against him, but I mean, I can't play guys in the front row. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., even worse of a play than Alex Bowman. Yeah, he might lead a couple laps at the beginning of this race, but he's got to lead a bunch of laps, and he has to win the race. You're just asking for a lot here at Daytona, and that's just not what I'm willing to do that. I mean, I'd much rather play Clint Boyer 29th. When I'm building lineups, I'm going to X out Ricky Stenhouse and Alex Bowman. I'm not going to have exposure to these guys. I mean, there's just no reason to. So, no thank you on Ricky Stenhouse or Alex Bowman. Two of the worst plays on the entire slate. Clint Boyer, he's not starting 86. He's 8,600. He's starting 29th. Yes, he's going to be a pretty darn good play. Not someone I typically play at restrictor plates too much. He's only averaging 14 DraftKings points per race. Average finish of 20.8. Average running position of 15.6, which is actually not too bad. But starting 29th, you're going to give us a high floor. He's much better than all the other drivers starting right around him. So, I mean, unless he wrecks early, he's going to get us place differential points. So, yeah, Clint Boyer, I think he's one of the best plays in the entire slate. Certainly going to get a lot of exposure to him. Not the greatest plate racer in the world, but as long as he can avoid the first big one, he'll move up for sure. So, got to like Clint Boyer here. Starting 29th. I mean, out of this tier, this AK tier, everyone sucks in the AK tier. Everyone else is, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. I mean, you got, 5? Or 6 or 5 of the guys starting in the top 10 here. This is a terrible tier besides Clint Boyer, so you're not going to see me owning really any of these guys. I might have a William Byron or two, just because I feel like he could win the race, and maybe an Eric Almirola in case he wins, but I'm probably not going to have any, to be honest. I mean, there's just no upside. So I might just cross everyone out in this tier besides Clint Boyer and just go really heavy on Clint Boyer. I think that's a good way to go. Eric Jones, he qualified 14th. He won the Clash, and he also finished in the top 3 in the last Daytona 500. So he's actually been pretty solid at plate races. He's averaging 33.2 DraftKings points per race here. Average driver rating of 75.2. He's got 2 top 5s. Does have a win here. He has 3 top 10s. He's been very good at plate races, and he's got good teammates in Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., which Martin Truex Jr. isn't the best plate racer, but he's got good teammates. So I think Eric Jones is fine. I mean, if he can hook up with Denny Hamlin or something, push him to the front near the end of the race, as long as he's alive by then. Not himself alive, but his car's alive. He could be fine at 14th. I'll have some exposure. Not going to go too heavy on him starting 14th, but I'll have some for sure. Like very minimal. Because starting 14th, there's a lot of room. There's not much room for error. Matt DiBenedetto starting 16th. Another guy I'll probably get a couple stabs in. He's a very, very good plate racer. We saw him running second in the duel. Was that duel 2? I think it was duel 2 for a while. He's pushing Kevin Harvick. He's very good here now. He usually starts further in the back, but averaging 43.5 DraftKings points per race at Daytona. Does have 3 top 10s, 4 top 15s. If he can avoid the wrecks, I mean, he's going to be not a smash play, but I think he's going to be a good play. Now, I do expect him to have some ownership because he's a fan favorite, Matt DiBenedetto. So there might be some merit on going underweight on him because there's a lot can happen when you're starting 16th. So not much room for error either. So he's a guy you could take a couple of stabs at, but not really going to go too heavy on him, if that makes sense. Ryan Newman, I was hoping he would qualify pretty bad in the duel because he's a very good plate racer, especially at Daytona. So we're going to look at his numbers. They're pretty incredible. Averaging 41.9 DraftKings points per race. Best average finish of 10.2. Yeah, I know. Justin Haley has an average finish of 1. He raced once and he won the race somehow. You got to throw that out, okay? But, yeah, Ryan Newman, I mean, the guy's been an absolute bulldog. I mean, 2 top 5s, and this is in 6 races. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 5 top 15s. And he's just been very, very good. And if you look at his track form at restrictor plates in the last 10 races, he's averaging 48 DraftKings points per race, average finish of 8.5, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s. 8 out of 10 restrictor plate races, he finished in the top 10. That's incredible. 9 top 15s. The guy's been amazing. He's just really, really good at plate races. Now, the problem is he qualified 7th, so probably can't play a Ryan Newman. I am sorry. I mean, if you think he can win the race, you could throw him in there, but that's pretty much the only reason you'd want to play Ryan Newman. He's just good avoiding the wrecks, but I can't play him really at starting 7th, so unfortunately I'll probably have to pass on most of my lineups there. Going down to Austin Dillon, he crushed in the Clash. He was one of those surviving cars, but starting 13th, I really can't do it unless he cracks the top 5, but I'm not willing to bank on that. I think there's better plays on this slate. Now, he's not the worst driver at Daytona in the world, but just in general, I don't like the guy because he cost me a lot of money when Eric Almirola should have won the 500, and then Dillon wrecked him, and he won the 500, but that's where he got that win from. But I don't really like him, but he does have, like I said, top 5. He's got to win, 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s. But when you're starting 13th, can't really play with too much confidence, especially a guy like Austin Dillon. Now, Brendan Gaughan, he is my favorite play in the slate. I'll tell you that right now. I think he's also the best play on the slate. So they priced him up at 7,200, but salary's no issue here. You do not have to worry about fitting guys into your lineup. So he qualified 39th, and this is literally the easiest play in the slate, in my opinion. This is what he does. He races at Daytona. That's pretty much it. He's not a regular driver. He's not going to be on those 1.5-mile tracks, whatever. He races Daytona, those kind of tracks. So averaging 42.7 DraftKings points per race, average finish of 16.7. Look, he's starting 39th. His average finish is 16.7. Yeah. Numbers speak for himself here is why he's a good play. Does have 1 top 10, 3 top 15s, 4 top 20s in the last 6 races. So majority of the time, he's going to be a smash play. Obviously, he doesn't really do anything in the dominator category, but averaging 13.5 place differential spots. It's pretty darn good. So yes, Brendan Gaughan, my favorite play in the slate, starting 39th. Nothing really bad can happen because if he say he's the first guy that crashes, he loses 1 spot. If all those guys up front crash, they're losing like 20 to 30 spots, maybe even like 39 spots if Stenhouse wrecked first. So yeah, Brendan Gaughan, the safest play in the slate in my opinion because he's actually not that bad of a driver either like some of these bums. That's why they priced him up to 7,200. But 39th, best play in the slate in my opinion. So you got to play Brendan Gaughan. I think he's an awesome spot. He's in an awesome spot. I mean, nothing really can go bad there unless he's the first guy that wrecks. But even then, the floor's there. Chris Buescher, he's a good plate racer. I was wishing he would qualify a little bit lower, but starting 19th, you could throw him in a couple lineups. He's averaging 33 DraftKings points per race here. Does have 2 top 5s in the past 6 races. That's pretty darn good, and 4 top 20s. Now, I just don't like that he's starting 19th because he's usually a little bit further back, but you can get away with it because he is a pretty good driver here. You can get in the top 5, and if he does top 5 starting 19th at 7,100, he's going to be a pretty good play now. I mean, it's a little bit risky banking on that, but I'm certainly going to have some Chris Buescher shares. I'll I'll have some. Like again, I'm building a bunch of lineups, so I will have some Chris Buescher. He's definitely not a fade by any means, and I think he's okay starting 19th. Ross Chastain. I mean, that's just kind of a crazy that he's starting 20th. He's a guy I'd certainly have a ton of interest in if he was like in the 30s, like he usually is. Starting 20th, I can't do it. I can't do it, Ross. I can't do it. I wish I could, but I can't. But as you can see, he's been strong here because he usually starts in the back, averaging 40 DraftKings points per race, average finish of 20. He's starting 20th. I can't do it. I mean, all likeliness, he's gonna fall back into the 30s when the race is actually going, and then maybe if like 20 cars wreck, yeah, he'll be okay. But he's priced up, and starting 20th, there's a lot of upside for Ross Chastain. So I'm personally gonna have to pass on Ross, unfortunately, because he's been very kind to me on plate races before. Christopher Bell, rookie, we have no numbers at all. Starting 17th, yeah, he could impress. I mean, these rookies are going to be a little bit difficult to want to play because obviously Daytona 500. I mean, as experienced as they are, lower series, they're going to be nervous. I don't know how nervous they're going to be, but they're going to have some jitters. Maybe they make a wrong move. I don't know. It's going to be tough to trust. Maybe you could throw Christopher Bell in a couple of lineups just because he's starting 17th, but personally would probably want to be underweight on these rookies. Same with Cole Custer, and he's starting 12th. I mean, there's just a lot of upside there, so probably going to pass on Custer. Much rather play Christopher Bell, but really not too much interest in either. Tyler Reddick, so he has one race here, and he finished 27th, and I believe that's when he started 39th or 38th. So, yeah, he was a good play. But the problem is now he's starting 22nd, so not a lot of upside for Tyler Reddick. Not really a good play in my opinion, so probably going to be passing on him. Bubba Wallace, I was wishing he would qualify worse because he's actually not that bad at plate races, especially Daytona. Average finish of 16.8, but he qualified 11th. I mean, come on. Bubba's probably not going to get a top 10 here unless he gets a little bit lucky. So, going to have to pass on Bubba, unfortunately. Michael McDowell, the guy's a beast here at Daytona. The guy's just a good plate racer, averaging 46 DraftKings points per race. Average finish of 12. Think about that. Average finish of 12. That's pretty darn good. And average running position of 15.6, average drive rating of 79.3. The guy is very, very good here. Does have 2 top 5s, 5 top 20s. 5 top 20s in the last 6 Daytona races. That's impressive. 4 top 15s, 3 top 10s. Average place differential of 10.8, which is also very solid. Michael McDowell, I think I wouldn't say he's a super strong play, but starting 26, I think he can move up. And if he top 10s, 5,900, yeah, he's going to be a good spot. Or a good play, I should say. So, yeah, Michael McDowell, I think he's fine. Ty Dillon, this guy, another guy, they're starting near each other, and there's not a lot of place differential opportunities here, but they've both been so good at just not wrecking and just finishing high. Like, if you look at Ty Dillon's numbers here, 36.1 average DraftKings points per race, average finish of 16.8, was running pretty well in Duel 2. He's got 3 top 10s, 1 top 5 in the past 6 races, 4 top 20s, and if you look at his track type form in the last 10 races, he's averaging 42.7 DraftKings points per race, average finish of 13.9, and the number that really stood out to me the most, he has, in the last 10 races at restrictor plate tracks, he has 9 top 20, so only once has he not finished in the top 20. Like, that's pretty good, and, I mean, he's got top 5 potential. He just stays alive till the end. Starting 24th, it's a little bit riskier because there's potential to lose spots for sure if he gets to an early wreck, but I don't mind having some exposure to Ty Dillon starting 24th, so certainly on my radar for sure. Corey LaJoie, he's probably one of my favorite lone scrub guys just because he's been very, very good at Daytona. Not like he's been driving like super good, but he avoids the wrecks and moves up. That's just what happens at Daytona. I already showed you guys the numbers. I went over the strategy. That's just what happens at Daytona. Averaging 34.1 DraftKings points per race here. Average finish of 21.7. He qualified 36. Yeah, you're going to be a pretty good play. Does have 1 top 10, 2 top 15s, 3 top 20s. I mean, it's just stack the back. That's what these guys are. Ryan Preece, I know he had that one good Daytona 500, I believe it was, where he got the top 10. Yeah, he does have 1 top 10, 2 top 15s, 3 top 20s. He only has, a 2-race sample size, was I looking at the right guy? No, I was not. I'm sorry. I didn't think that sounded right. 1 top 10, 1 top 15, 1 top 20. But that's just because he did that really well in that one Daytona race. But he's not been too bad. He does have an average finish of 20. I'll take that starting 31st. I mean, if he can avoid the early big one, he should be a pretty solid place differential play. So I do like Ryan Preece. David Reagan, he qualified 30th. Again, these are just the stack-to-back guys. The numbers aren't going to be too impressive. But if they can avoid the wrecks, I mean, they're going to move up. And starting 30th, certainly got to have some interest in Reagan. Average finish of 24th, above where his qualifying spot is. He does have a top 10, 2 top 20s. So, yeah, you can certainly look David Reagan's way. John Hunter Nemechek, rookie, so don't have any numbers to go off of. But starting 23rd, it's probably my least favorite play in this range just because there's a lot of room to move back. So, probably going to be passing on Nemechek. Maybe you can throw him in one lineup. Just hope he gets into the top 10, but I don't really see it. Justin Haley, so these numbers are going to look out of this world, but also look that this is a one race sample size, and this was also a rain-shortened sample size, or was it rain or lightning, either one. But at the end of the race early, he happened to be in first because it was like some guys pitted, some guys didn't, and then he ended up being up front, and yeah, he finished first. It was weird, but he had 80 DraftKings points. He won the race starting, like 36 maybe, 34th, but yeah. So I mean, these numbers really don't mean anything because it's one silly race that happened. But starting 33rd, yeah, you can play him. I mean, he's got place differential upside. If he can avoid the wrecks, he moves up. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to sound like a broken record saying this for the rest of the guys, but that's really all I can say. So BJ McLeod, yes, he sucks, but he's going to move up. Averaging 33 DraftKings points per race. And I know I think it was the last Daytona 500, or it was one of the Daytona races or something like that. He did fine. So, yeah, you can play BJ McLeod. Quinn Huff, same thing. Although the one race he had, he was pretty trashy, but again, one race sample size. But Brennan Poole, he started 34th. Yeah, you can play him. Again, you could literally play this entire bottom range in this 4K range. And if there's a bunch of crashes, which there should be, they're going to move up. And it's really not that bad way. It's not a bad way to go. But yeah, Reed Swartzen, he's literally in the safest spot because he cannot move back. And if he crashes as the 40th car, because last year I played Casey Mears, he started 40th. He was the first guy to crash. I believe it was on pit road. So he started last. He finished with 4.5 points, I believe that's what it was. He still outscored all the guys that went negative, so it's really not that bad of a play. So Reed Sorensen certainly got some interest. Joey Gay starting 37th. He's averaging 29 DraftKings points per race here. Average finish of 25. We will take it, starting 37th. Timmy Hill, really don't want to play Timmy Hill, but he can certainly move up. So again, stack the back, guys. These numbers would suggest that, as you can see, the darker shades of green are down here, and the scary red and orange numbers are all the way up here. So that's pretty much going to be it for this driver by driver breakdown. This was a long video, I believe about 40 minutes, so hopefully it was enjoyable to you guys. And before we get out of here, just want to say, if you want to follow me on Twitter, MattChrisPennell16, we'll retweet as much information as I can. If you do want to sign up on Patreon, it's seriously much appreciated. I put a lot of work into this, so I do appreciate everyone that does support me over on Patreon. You get access to all of my extra content, which I believe is up to help to you. I mean, a lot of guys in my Discord chat, they probably couldn't tell you one NASCAR driver, and they probably never watched a NASCAR race before, but all of us in the Discord chat, at least most of them, have been profitable the first 3 races, which were pretty much just the warm-up races. So if you want to go sign up, like I said, links below in the description below. Get access to my projections, Discord chat, GP driver exposures, cheat sheets, main sheet, data sheet, whatever you want to call it. So check it out, guys. Article will be up soon. Then I'll have the rest of the stuff up later tonight. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. Go out and get some dinner, which is what I'm going to do. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and see you in the next video. Hope you guys do very well. If you have any questions, comment below as well.